Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Well, I would like to thank the member for Indi for this motion. I do know that issues of integrity are so important to her and something that she has been working on throughout her time here. I know they're important to her community as they are important to my community. And I know how pleased we both are that this country now has a National Anti-Corruption Commission in operation, delivered by our government as one of the highest priorities when we came into office. Of course, our government's commitment to integrity extends beyond the National Anti-Corruption Commission. There is an important place for grants in our communities in providing funding opportunities that help make a difference on a large or a small scale. And every year there are billions of dollars of federal grants provided across the country, and we've all seen the benefits that these grants can bring. They are broad-ranging, from research, the delivery of health, community and legal services, infrastructure funding, or building capacity in our communities. But in determining and delivering these grants, our government wants to strengthen the integrity, the accountability and transparency of that process, because that matters as well as outcomes. And it is important to highlight how this is a different approach to that taken by the former Morrison government. Under the previous government, we saw sports rorts, the Building Better Regions, Urban Congestion Fund, Safer Communities, just a few examples of the former government's lack of process around how they use taxpayer funds. And sports rorts is one that particularly frustrated my community. In one memorable case, a club in my community of Jagga Jagga, the Greensborough Hockey Club, missed out on a grant through this program, even though their application had been deemed deserving of support. It wasn't the quality of their application that was getting there, it wasn't the assessment that they were deserving of support, it was clearly rejected for other reasons. And the club said to me at the time that they would have understood if they had missed out for other worthy funding applications, but it was a shock for them to be overlooked for other applications that actually weren't deemed as highly suitable or highly regarded. Then, of course, we had the Building Better Regions Fund, and a report conducted by the ANAO found that over 5 rounds of funding, the former government didn't in fact get better at administrating these grants, it got worse. Towards the end of that time, the approach of the Liberals and the Nationals resulted in more than 65% of the grants that were funded not being in line with the departmental recommendations, without justification. As Minister Catherine King, herself a regional MP, has said, if the target is that you want to help lift up regional Australia, lift up every region, this fund did not do that. It lifted some regions at the expense of others. The Safer Communities Fund, a program administered by the now Leader of the Opposition. The aims of this program were meant to be around addressing crime and antisocial behaviour by funding crime prevention activities. What the Audit Office found, though, was that in situations where there was full and part funding of projects, the full recommended funding was more likely to be awarded to applications in coalition seats, while partial recommended funding was more likely to be awarded for applications in Labor seats. The community can see the patterns in this type of behaviour. And these programs, this behaviour, it does shake the trust that people should have in the way that this institution runs and in the way that grants are applied. That is important. It should be important to all of us in here that people have trust in our politics and they have trust in the work of government. So I am pleased to say that our government is taking a different approach. And that's why the Minister for Finance has asked her department to develop options that enhance the integrity, the accountability and the transparency of the Commonwealth grant rules and guidelines. To update these rules and guidelines that underpin the policy framework that federal government grants operate under. And in doing that work, the issues being considered are wide-ranging, but they do reflect the government's commitment to integrity in these matters, because integrity is at the heart of how we should be approaching these problems. I want to highlight the work of the Joint Committee of Public Accounts and Audit, which earlier this year held an inquiry into grants administration. The tabling of their report includes the line, the previous government pursued industrial-scale rorting for blatantly political purposes. And the chair of that committee, the member for Bruce, made a really, I think, important point in regard to ministers accepting or rejecting departmental advice. Ministers are not gods and are subject to the law and the rules and must record properly and fully documented reasons. Ministers are accountable to the public for their decisions and they should have a transparent process around that so it is clear how they go about making those decisions. Our government will not follow the example set by those previous. We do want integrity around government grants and I thank the member for the motion.